Before we dive into this story, let us know in the comments where you are watching from today. If you enjoy these stories from Soulful Narratives, please hit the like button and subscribe. Have a beautiful day, and enjoy this incredible journey. A night of desperate hopes. The Grand Plaza Hotel. Ballroom glowed with golden light as Claire Bennett smoothed down her navy blue dress for the third time that evening. She did not belong here among the wealthy elite of Chicago. But desperation had a way of pushing people into uncomfortable places. Around her, diamonds sparkled on elegant wrists and champagne flowed like water. The charity auction was in full swing with expensive artwork and luxury vacation packages going for astronomical amounts. Claire checked her phone again. Her father had not responded to her last message. Thomas Bennett was probably at home staring at the bankruptcy papers that had arrived last week. 30 years of building Bennett architecture from the ground up, and one terrible contract with a corrupt developer had destroyed everything. The company was drowning in debt, lawsuits were piling up, and their family home would be seized within months. The man, knew too much. She grabbed a glass of sparkling water from a passing waiter and tried to blend into the crowd. The goal tonight was simple. Network, make connections, find potential investors who might help save her father's company. But everyone here seemed to be in their own world of wealth and privilege. A world where people like Claire were invisible. Claire Bennett. The voice came from directly behind her. Deep and commanding, she turned around and found herself looking up at one of the most striking men she had ever seen. He stood well over 6 feet tall, with dark hair styled perfectly and piercing blue eyes that seemed to see right through her. His black tuxedo fit him like it had been created specifically for his athletic frame. Everything about him screamed power and money. "Yes," Claire replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Do I know you?" "Vincent Sterling." He extended his hand with a slight smile. "And no, we have not met. But I know quite a bit about you." Claire felt a chill run down her spine as she shook his hand. His grip was firm and warm. Vincent Sterling. She recognized the name immediately. He was the billionaire who had transformed Chicago's skyline with innovative mixed-use developments. Sterling Enterprises owned hotels, tech companies, and half the commercial real estate in the city. Secrets revealed. "How do you know about me?" Claire asked, pulling her hand back. Vincent gestured toward a quieter corner of the ballroom away from the crowd. "We should talk privately. I have information about your father's situation." Claire's heart began racing. She followed him through the crowd to a private balcony overlooking the city lights. The cool night air hit her face as Vincent closed the glass doors behind them, muffling the party noise. "What do you know about my father?" Claire demanded. Vincent leaned against the balcony railing, his expression unreadable. "Thomas Bennett signed a development contract with Apex Construction 6 months ago. They promised to build 3 residential towers using his architectural designs. But Apex was a shell company created by Marcus Thorne to launder money. When the scheme collapsed, your father was left holding all the legal liability." Claire felt her stomach drop. "How do you know all this?" "I make it my business to know things," Vincent replied calmly. "Especially when it involves Marcus Thorne. He has been trying to ruin good people in this city for years. Your father was just his latest target." "Then you understand we are facing bankruptcy," Claire said, her voice trembling slightly. "Everything my father built is being destroyed because he trusted the wrong person." Vincent nodded slowly. "The lawsuits alone will take everything. The house, the company, probably your father's professional reputation as well." Claire turned away, gripping the cold metal railing. Hearing someone else confirm her worst fears made them feel more real. "Why are you telling me this?" "An indecent proposal because I have a proposition for you," Vincent said. Claire turned back to face him. "What kind of proposition?" Vincent straightened up, his blue eyes locked on hers. "Marry me for 1 year. In exchange, I will pay off all your father's debts, settle the lawsuits, and restore his company's reputation. You will receive a generous monthly allowance and a substantial payment at the end of our arrangement." Claire stared at him, certain she had misheard. "You want me to marry you?" "Yes, that is insane," Claire said, shaking her head. "Why would you need to buy a wife?" Vincent crossed his arms. I am finalizing a major business partnership with the Westbrook Group. They are extremely conservative and traditional. The senior partners have made it clear they prefer working with married men who demonstrate stability and family values. I need a wife to secure this deal. So I would be a prop, Claire said bitterly. A decoration to help you close a business deal. Finding her voice, you would be compensated extremely well, Vincent countered. Your father's entire debt is roughly $4 million. I will clear it completely. Plus, you will receive $20,000 monthly and a final payment of $500,000 when our year is complete. That is nearly $1 million total. Claire felt dizzy. That amount of money would not just save her father, but set up her entire family for life. But the idea of marrying a complete stranger felt wrong on every level. What exactly would you expect from this arrangement? She asked carefully. We would live together in my penthouse to maintain appearances, Vincent explained. Attend social events as a couple. Present a united front to business associates and family. But I am not asking for anything beyond that. Separate bedrooms. Mutual respect. Think of it as a business partnership. A business partnership that involves marriage vows, Claire pointed out. Vincent shrugged. The marriage would be legal, but temporary. After 1 year, we file for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. You walk away financially secure. I get my business deal. Everyone wins. Taking control, Claire's mind raced through the implications. This could save everything. Her father's company, their home, his legacy. But could she really sell herself this way, even if it was just on paper? I need time to think, she said. You have 3 days, Vincent replied, pulling a business card from his jacket. My personal number is on the back. Call me with your decision. Claire took the card, her fingers trembling slightly. And if I say no, then your father files for bankruptcy next month and loses everything he spent his life building. Vincent's voice was matter of fact, not cruel, but honest. I am offering you a way out. Whether you take it is your choice. He walked toward the balcony door, then paused. For what it is worth, Miss Bennett, I researched you thoroughly before making this offer. You graduated top of your class from Cornell Architecture. You have been essentially running your father's company for the past 2 years while he dealt with the legal mess. You are intelligent, capable, and strong. This arrangement would not just benefit me. With that, Vincent Sterling disappeared back into the glittering crowd. Leaving Claire alone on the balcony with a business card and an impossible decision, she looked out at the Chicago skyline, the city lights blurring as tears filled her eyes. 3 days to decide if she would marry a stranger to save her family. 3 days to choose between her principles and her father's survival. Claire tucked the business card into her purse and took a deep breath. She had no idea what she would decide, but she knew one thing for certain. Her life would never be the same after tonight. Claire spent the next 3 days in complete turmoil. She barely slept, replaying Vincent Sterling's proposal over and over in her mind. The business card sat on her nightstand like a ticking bomb. Every time she looked at it, her stomach twisted with conflicting emotions. Her best friend Rachel Kim came over on the second night, bringing Chinese takeout and wine. Claire told her everything while they sat on her small apartment floor surrounded by cardboard containers. Let me get this straight, Rachel said, pausing with chopsticks halfway to her mouth. A billionaire offered to pay millions to marry you for 1 year. Separate bedrooms, no strings attached, and you were still thinking about it. It feels like I'm selling myself, Claire admitted. Rachel set down her food and took Claire's hands. Sweetie, you are saving your father. This Vincent guy needs a wife for business reasons. You need money to save your family. It is a transaction between 2 adults. Nobody is being hurt. But what if he expects more than he is saying? Claire asked. Then you walk away, Rachel said firmly. You are strong enough to do that. But from what you told me, he seems like a straightforward businessman. He needs something. You need something. You trade. Claire wanted to believe it could be that simple. But something about Vincent. Sterling's intense blue eyes made her think nothing about him was simple. The call that changed. Everything on the morning of the 3rd day. Claire sat at her kitchen table with her phone in her hand. Her father had called earlier that morning. His voice had been hollow, defeated. The lawyers had told him bankruptcy was inevitable. They would lose everything within 60 days. Claire thought about her father's face. When he talked about the buildings he had designed, the pride in his voice when he showed her blueprints as a child, the way architecture had been his entire life, his passion, his identity. Losing the company would destroy him. She picked up Vincent's business card and dialed the number on the back. He answered on the second ring. "Miss Bennett," Vincent said, as if he had been expecting her call. "Have you made your decision?" "I want to meet again," Claire replied. "I have conditions. Name them, not over the phone. In person. Today, if possible." There was a pause. "I can clear my afternoon." 2 o'clock at Millennium Park by the Cloudgate sculpture. Dressed casually, Claire blinked in surprise. She had expected him to suggest his office or some expensive restaurant. "The Bean? In the park?" "Unless you prefer somewhere else," Vincent said.
"Oh, that works."
"I will be there." "Good. And Miss Bennett?" "I appreciate you calling." The line went dead. Claire stared at her phone, her heart pounding. She had just taken the first step toward something that terrified and intrigued her in equal measure. Meeting in the open at exactly 2 o'clock. Claire stood near the Cloudgate sculpture, watching tourists take photos of their reflections in the giant mirrored bean. She wore jeans, a cream sweater, and her favorite leather jacket. The October afternoon was cool and bright. Vincent appeared right on time, and Claire almost did not recognize him at first. Gone was the intimidating man in the expensive tuxedo. Instead, he wore dark jeans, a simple gray Henley shirt, and a black jacket. He looked younger, more approachable, almost normal. "Thank you for meeting me," Vincent said as he approached. "You said dress casually," Claire noted, gesturing at his outfit. "I did not expect you to actually follow your own advice." Vincent smiled, and Claire noticed how it transformed his entire face. "I spend enough time in suits. Sometimes it is nice to just be a regular person." They started walking through the park, weaving between tourists and families. Claire felt oddly comfortable despite the strange circumstances. "So what are your conditions?" Vincent asked. Setting boundaries, Claire took a deep breath. "First, I want everything in writing. Every detail of what you expect, what I will receive, the timeline, everything. I want a lawyer to review it before I sign anything," agreed, Vincent said immediately. "I already have my lawyers drafting a contract. You can have your own legal counsel review it. Second, separate bedrooms like you mentioned, but also separate bathrooms if possible. I need my own space. The penthouse has 4 bedrooms, each with private bathrooms. You can have your choice." Claire nodded, feeling slightly more in control. "Third, no lying to my father about how we met. I will not build our arrangement on deception with my family. We tell them we met at the charity auction and connected quickly." Vincent considered this. "That is actually true. We did meet at the auction, but we will not mention the business arrangement," Claire clarified. "As far as anyone knows, this is real." "Understood. Anything else?" Claire stopped walking and turned to face him. "I need to know who you really are. Not Vincent Sterling, the billionaire. The actual person. Because if I'm going to pretend to be your wife, I need to be able to have real conversations with you. I cannot fake emotions I do not feel."
"How?"
Vincent held her gaze for a long moment. "What do you want to know?" "Everything," Claire said. "Your family, your past, what you care about, what keeps you up at night. Real things." Unexpected honest Vincent gestured toward a bench overlooking the park's lawn. They sat down, and for a moment he was quiet, watching children play in the distance. "My parents died when I was 8, Vincent began, his voice lower than before. "House fire. I was at a friend's house for a sleepover. I came home to find firefighters and police everywhere." Claire felt her chest tighten. "I am so sorry." "My grandmother Margaret took me in," Vincent continued. "She lived in a tiny apartment in Pilsen. She worked as a seamstress, taking in alterations and mending for neighbors. We had almost nothing, but she made sure I had everything I needed." "How did you go from that to all this?" Claire asked gently. Vincent leaned back against the bench. My grandmother always said that education was the only thing nobody could take from you. She worked double shifts so I could go to a good school. I studied constantly, earned scholarships, worked my way through college. When I graduated, I borrowed money to buy my first building. It was a rundown apartment complex in a rough neighborhood. What did you do with it? Renovated it myself. Nights and weekends for a year. Then I sold it for triple what I paid. Used that money to buy 2 more buildings. Then 4. Then 10. Vincent looked at her with those intense blue eyes. I never forgot what it felt like to have nothing. Every building I buy, every project I develop, I remember my grandmother's apartment and how she struggled. Sharing pain, Claire felt something shift inside her. This was not the cold businessman from the auction. This was someone who understood loss and struggle. My mother died when I was 15, Claire heard herself saying. Cancer. She fought for 3 years, but in the end, it was not enough. Vincent turned to her, his expression softening. That must have been devastating. My father fell apart, Claire continued, surprised at how icily the words came. He threw himself into work, built the company bigger and bigger. I think he was trying to build something permanent because he could not save my mother. And now it is all falling apart anyway. That is why you are considering my offer, Vincent said. It was not a question. I would do anything to save him, Claire admitted. Even marry a stranger. They sat in silence for a moment, the sounds of the city around them fading into background noise. What do you want? Vincent asked suddenly. Not for your father. For yourself. What does Claire Bennett dream about? Dreams and desires, the question caught her off guard. Nobody had asked her that in years. I want to design buildings that matter, Claire said slowly. Not just luxury condos for wealthy people. I want to create affordable housing that is beautiful and sustainable. Community centers, schools, buildings that help people, not just impress them. Vincent was watching her intently. Why have you not done that? Because I have been too busy trying to save my father's company to pursue my own dreams, Claire said with a bitter laugh. I have been putting out fires instead of starting anything new. What if this arrangement gave you the freedom to pursue those dreams? Vincent asked. You would have financial security for the first time in years. You could start your own projects. Claire had not thought about it that way. She had been so focused on saving her father that she had not considered what she might gain beyond just clearing debt. Is that how you see this? Claire asked. As given me freedom? I see it as 2 people helping each other get what they need, Vincent replied. I need a wife to secure a business deal. You need money to save your father. But maybe we can both get more than we expect. A sudden gust of wind sent leaves swirling around them. Without thinking, Vincent reached out and gently pulled a leaf from Claire's hair. His fingers brushed her cheek, and Claire felt her breath catch. Their eyes met, and for a moment, something electric passed between them. Vincent pulled his hand back quickly, clearing his throat. Sorry, you had a leaf. Thank you, Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper. They both looked away. The moment breaking, but leaving something changed in its wake. I should probably review that contract, Claire said, standing up. Vincent stood as well. I will have it sent to you by tomorrow morning. Take your time to review it with your lawyer. If you have any concerns or want to modify anything, we can negotiate, okay, Claire said, then hesitated. Vincent, thank you for being honest with me today. About your grandmother and everything? Thank you for listening, Vincent replied. And for sharing about your mother? I know that was not easy. They walked back through the park together. Despite the unusual circumstances, Claire felt oddly comfortable beside him. This arrangement might be unconventional, but maybe Rachel was right. Maybe it could work. The decision 2 days later, Claire sat in a lawyer's office with Rachel beside her. The contract was thorough, fair, and exactly as Vincent had described. Separate living arrangements, financial compensation, clear timeline, and exit clauses that protected both parties. This is actually a very good contract, the lawyer said. He is offering you substantial protection and compensation. I do not see any red flags. Claire signed her name at the bottom, her hand only shaking slightly. When she looked up, Vincent was watching her from across the table. He signed his copy as well. So we are really doing this, Claire said. We're really doing this, Vincent confirmed, as they shook hands to seal the agreement. Claire felt that same electric spark from the park. Vincent seemed to feel it too, because his grip lingered. It's just a moment longer than necessary. Walking out of the lawyer's office, into the Chicago afternoon, Claire realized that what she had expected to feel like a business transaction felt like something else entirely. Something that made her heart race and her stomach flutter with nervous anticipation. In 3 weeks, she would marry Vincent Sterling. And despite every logical reason this should feel wrong, a small part of her was actually excited to see what would happen next. 3 weeks passed in a blur of preparations, and suddenly it was the wedding day. Claire stood in front of the mirror in a private room at City Hall, adjusting the simple cream-colored dress she had chosen. It fell just below her knees with delicate lace sleeves. Nothing extravagant, nothing that screamed fake marriage, just elegant and understated. Rachel stood beside her, fixing Claire's hair into a soft updo. "You look beautiful," her friend said, and terrified. "I am about to marry a man I have known for less than a month," Claire replied, her hands trembling slightly. "Terrified seems appropriate. He is a good man," Rachel said gently. "I have seen the way he looks at you during your meetings. That is not fake." Claire had noticed it too. Over the past 3 weeks, she and Vincent had met several times to coordinate their story and get to know each other better. Each meeting left her more confused about her feelings. Vincent was nothing like she expected. He was thoughtful, intelligent, surprisingly funny, and genuinely interested in her opinions and dreams. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. 5 minutes. A voice called Claire, took a deep breath, and picked up the small bouquet of white roses Vincent had sent that morning. The card attached simply said, "For new beginnings." Vows that felt real. The ceremony room was intimate with tall windows letting in autumn sunlight. Only a handful of people attended. Rachel, Vincent's business partner, James, the lawyer who had drafted their contract, and surprisingly, Vincent's assistant Maria, who had become friendly with Claire during the planning process. Vincent stood at the front, wearing a perfectly tailored navy suit. When Claire walked in, his expression shifted from composed to something softer, more genuine. His blue eyes held hers, and for a moment, Claire forgot this was supposed to be a business arrangement. The ceremony was brief. The officiant spoke about commitment and partnership. When it came time for vows, Vincent took Claire's hands in his. His palms were warm and steady. "Claire," Vincent began, and his voice was lower than usual. "I promise to respect you, support your dreams, and be honest with you always. I promise to be worthy of your trust." Claire's throat tightened. Those words felt real, not rehearsed. "Vincent," she said softly, "I promise to honor this partnership with integrity and openness. I promise to be your friend as well as your wife." When Vincent slipped the ring onto her finger, a simple platinum band, his thumb brushed across her knuckles in a gesture that felt impossibly tender. Claire's heart hammered in her chest as she placed his matching ring on his hand. "You may kiss the bride," the officiant announced. Vincent leaned in slowly, giving Claire time to pull away if she wanted. She did not. Their lips met in a gentle kiss that was supposed to be for show, but felt like something more. When they pulled apart, Claire saw surprise in Vincent's eyes that probably mirrored her own. They were married, living in close quarters. Moving into Vincent's penthouse was surreal. The space occupied the entire top floor of a downtown high-rise, with floor-to ceiling, windows offering panoramic views of Chicago. Claire's entire apartment could have fit into the living room alone. Vincent showed her to her bedroom, spacious suite, with its own sitting area and bathroom. "I had the closet expanded," he said, "and there is a small office space through that door if you want to work from home." "Did not have to do all this," Claire said, genuinely touched. "I want you to be comfortable," Vincent replied. "This is your home now, too." The first week was awkward. They circled each other like polite strangers, eating breakfast in careful silence and maintaining excessive politeness. But slowly, things began to shift. Claire discovered that Vincent woke at 5 every morning to work out. She started waking early too, and they fell into a routine of having coffee together before he left for the office. Those quiet morning conversations became her favorite part of the day. Vincent learned that Claire loved to cook and often came home to find her experimenting with new recipes. He started leaving work earlier to join her for dinner. They talked about architecture, business, their childhoods, their dreams. The conversations flowed easily, naturally. One evening, Claire was working on design sketches at the dining table when Vincent came home. He loosened his tie and sat across from her, studying her drawings. "This is incredible," he said, pointing to her design for a community center. "The way you incorporated natural light and green spaces while keeping costs down is brilliant." "You really think so?" Claire asked, feeling a warm glow at his genuine interest. "I know so," Vincent said, meeting her eyes. "Have you thought about actually building this?" "I do not have the funding or connections," Claire admitted. Vincent pulled out his phone and started typing. "I know people who fund projects like this. Let me make some introductions." Claire stared at him. "You would do that?" "Of course," Vincent said, as if it was obvious. "Your talent should not go to waste." That night, lying in her separate bedroom, Claire realized she was falling for her contract husband. And that terrified her more than anything. When society strikes 2 months into their marriage, the cracks began to show. They attended a charity gala where Vincent needed to schmooze with potential investors. Claire wore a stunning emerald dress Vincent had insisted on buying for her. Despite her protests, everything was going well until Claire overheard a conversation in the ladies' room. She was in a stall when 2 women entered, their voices loud and cutting. "Can you believe Vincent Sterling married that nobody?" one woman said. "Everyone knows he bought her to look respectable." "I heard her father was bankrupt," the other replied. "She probably threw herself at Vincent to save her family." Gold digger. Claire's hands clenched into fists. She wanted to march out and confront them, but shame kept her frozen in place. "At least she is pretty enough," the first woman continued. "Though I give it 6 months before Vincent gets bored and finds someone from his actual social class." They left, and Claire emerged on shaking legs. She looked at herself in the mirror, seeing the expensive dress and borrowed jewelry. Was that what everyone thought? That she was just a purchased accessory? She found Vincent talking with a group of businessmen and touched his arm. "I need to leave," she whispered. Vincent immediately noticed something was wrong. "What happened?" "Please, I just need to go." He made quick excuses to his associates and guided her toward the exit. In the car, Claire finally broke down, telling him what she had overheard. A public declaration. Vincent's jaw tightened with anger. "Give me their names." "It does not matter," Claire said, wiping her eyes. "They are right. This is fake. I am here because of a contract." "Stop," Vincent said firmly, pulling the car over to the side of the road. He turned to face her fully. "What we have is not fake. Maybe it started as a business arrangement, but that is not what this is anymore." Vincent Claire began, but he cut her off. "I wake up every morning looking forward to coffee with you," he said, his voice intense. "I leave work early because I want to have dinner with you. I care about your dreams and your happiness. That is real, Claire. What I feel for you is real." Claire's breath caught. "What are you saying?" "I am saying that I am falling in love with you," Vincent said, reaching for her hand, "and I think you might feel the same way." Tears streamed down Claire's face, but this time they were different. "I do," she whispered. "I am falling for you too. But I am scared." "Of what?" "That this will end," Claire admitted. "We have a contract, an expiration date. What happens when the year is up?" Vincent cupped her face gently. "Then we tear up the contract and start something real. No timelines, no conditions, just us choosing each other." He kissed her then, and this kiss was nothing like their wedding kiss. This was passionate, desperate, full of all the feelings they had been holding back. When they pulled apart, both were breathing hard. "Take me home," Claire whispered. That night, Claire did not sleep in her separate bedroom. The crisis point 3 months later, everything fell apart. Vincent's big business deal with the Westbrook Group was finally closing. The senior partners invited Vincent and Claire to a weekend retreat at a private estate to finalize everything. On the second day, Claire overheard Vincent talking with James in the estate library. She had been looking for Vincent to show him the beautiful gardens when she heard her name. "The Westbrook people love Claire," James was saying. They keep commenting on what a stabilizing influence she is. This deal is happening because of her. I know, Vincent replied. So what happens when the contract ends? They will want to know that your marriage is solid. There was a pause. We will handle that when the time comes. Claire's heart sank. Handle that. Like she was a problem to be managed. She backed away quietly, feeling sick. That evening at dinner, Claire was quiet. Vincent noticed immediately and kept asking if she was okay. She smiled and lied, saying she was just tired. But that night, back in their hotel room, Claire could not pretend anymore. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. Always, Vincent said, concern crossing his face. If the Westbrook deal falls through, would you still want to be with me? Vincent froze. Where is this coming from? Answer the question, Claire pressed. If this partnership fails, if being married to me stops being useful for your business, would you still choose me? Claire, you know how I feel about you. Do I? Claire's voice cracked. Or am I just convenient? The perfect wife, who helps you close deals and makes you look good? That is not fair, Vincent said, frustration creeping into his voice. I overheard you and James talking, Claire admitted, about how the Westbrook people love me. About handling things when the contract ends. Vincent ran his hands through his hair. You misunderstood that conversation. Did I? Claire stood up, her decision made. I cannot do this, Vincent. I cannot be in a relationship where I am never in. Sure, if you want me, or for what I bring to your business. Claire, please listen to me. I am going back to Chicago, Claire said, her voice breaking. I will fulfill the contract through the end of the year, but I am moving back to my own bedroom. This was a mistake. Racing against time, Claire left early the next morning before Vincent woke up. She took a cab to the airport and caught the first flight back to Chicago. By the time she reached the penthouse, tears were streaming down her face. She started packing her things, planning to move back to her old apartment. The past few months had been the happiest of her life, but she could not live with the uncertainty. She needed to know she was chosen for herself, not for convenience. She was folding clothes when she heard the front door burst open. Vincent rushed in, still wearing his clothes from the day before, looking disheveled and desperate. Do not leave, he said breathlessly. Please, just listen to me. Vincent, I cannot do this right now. I canceled the Westbrook deal, he said. Claire froze. What? I called them this morning and told them I was walking away, Vincent said, moving closer. Told them my wife was more important than any business partnership, and if they had a problem with that, then we had nothing more to discuss. You canceled a deal worth hundreds of millions of dollars? Claire whispered. Yes, Vincent said simply. Guys, you were right. You deserve to be chosen without conditions. You deserve someone who puts you first, always. Why I'm putting you first. Choosing love, Claire felt her heart breaking and mending at the same time. You did not have to do that. Yes, I did, Vincent said, taking her hands. Because I love you. Not contract Claire, not convenient Claire, just Claire. The woman who makes terrible jokes while cooking. Who talks to herself while drawing. Who has the biggest heart of anyone I have ever met. I love you, and I choose you over everything else. But your business, Claire said weakly, will survive, Vincent finished. There will be other deals, but there is only one you. Claire looked into his blue eyes and saw nothing but truth and love. I love you too, she whispered. I was just so scared. Vincent pulled her into his arms, holding her tight. I know. I am scared too. This is real now, and real things can be terrifying. But I would rather be terrified with you than safe without you. They stood there holding each other, and Claire felt the last of her fears melt away. This man had given up everything for her, not because he had to, but because he wanted to. What do we do about the contract? Claire asked. Vincent pulled back and reached into his pocket. He pulled out the contract they had both signed months ago, and right there in front of her, tore it into pieces. There, he said, letting the pieces fall to the floor. No more contract, no more conditions. Just you and me choosing each other every day. Claire laughed through her tears and kissed him. It was a kiss full of promise, of hope, of a future they would build together, not because they had to, but because they wanted to. Marry me again, Vincent said suddenly. A real wedding this time, with your father there and all our friends. I want to stand in front of everyone and choose you with no contracts, no conditions, just love? Yes, Claire said, her heart overflowing. Yes to everything. 3 months later, they stood in a small church with Claire's father walking her down the aisle. Thomas Bennett had tears in his eyes as he placed his daughter's hand in Vincent's. The company was thriving again, but more importantly, his daughter had found real love. As Vincent and Claire exchanged new vows, these ones written from their hearts, Claire realized that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. She had agreed to a contract marriage to save her father, but she had found something far more valuable. She had found a partner, a best friend, and a love that was worth more than any amount of money. And as Vincent kissed her, making her his wife for the second time, Claire knew that their story was just beginning. This time, there were no contracts, no conditions, no expiration dates, just two people who chose each other every single day, and that was the greatest gift of all. The end.